This week's Torah reading talks about one of the most important people in the history of the world. And he's not given much attention. I bet you can't even name him. The truth is, I can't name him. No one can, because he's unnamed. There's a story of waYeshev. waYeshev was sent by his father to go visit his brothers, who were tending to the family flocks, and he couldn't find them. He was on his way. He thought he knew where his brothers were. Didn't see them. And some guy came up to him and he said, "What are you looking for?" And he said, "I'm looking for my brothers. Can you tell me where they are?" And he said, "Oh, I saw those guys. They went to the town of Dothan." So Yaakov went after his brothers towards Dothan. And he saw them in the distance, and his brothers said, "Here comes the dreamer." We know the story, at least we should. Threw him into a pit, sold him into slavery, down to Egypt, etc. This was all part of God's plan to get Yosef to Egypt, to set things up, to save them all from the famine that was coming, to get the Hebrew nation into Egypt, where they would be enslaved, where they would leave, where they would, the whole thing. Okay, fine. There was a purpose to it. When I was a kid, I thought to myself, what if one day there's a guy who gets up and someone leaves something. I lived on the top floor of a 2-story house. Stairs going down. My bedroom was upstairs. What if one day somebody leaves something on the stairs? If he leaves the, whatever it is, let's say roller skate. Nobody has skated, but okay, it's just an idea. Leaves the roller skate on the left side of the step. Well, suppose the guy gets up in the morning, starts walking down the stairs, starts with his left foot. He'll put his left foot on the first step, his right foot on the second step, and the roller skate is on the second step. On the left side, he'll miss it, and he'll continue walking down, have breakfast, etc. On the other hand, suppose he starts walking with his right foot. Right foot on the first step, left foot on the second step, steps on the roller skate, trips, falls down the stairs, breaks his neck, and dies. Sad. And that family will be very sad. And life goes on. What if that person had been Moses? What if it had been Nelson Mandela? What if it had been Hitler? What if it had been Napoleon? Fill in any major figure throughout history. The entire history of the world as we know it would be different today. Yosef was traveling to find his brothers. He meets up with some random guy. And he says, "What are you doing?" And Yosef says, "I'm looking for my brothers." And he says, "They went that way." And because that man said, "They went that way," Yosef finds his brothers and everything happens. What if that guy hadn't been there to give Yosef directions? He would have gone back home to his father and said, "I didn't see them, so I came back." And his father would have said, "Okay, sit down," or go try it again, and maybe his brothers would have been in a different mood. Don't know. If this guy hadn't thought to ask, "What do you want?" and been there to say, "They went that way," the entire history of the world as we know it would be different. Yes, you can argue it's God's plan. In fact, there are commentators that explicitly say this was an angel that was specifically sent to give directions to Yosef to say he went that way because that was the way of enacting God's plan. But there are other commentators that make no such claim, because the truth is you don't need to. It teaches you a valuable lesson. Yes, ultimately everything happens according to God's plan, but we all play a part in it. Every one of us has a time and a place. If it hadn't been for that one guy to say, "They went that way," everything would have been different. None of it would have happened. Every human has intrinsic value. Last week I gave you a challenge to see what you could learn from everyone. Maybe that's a little self-centered. But I'll follow up on that by saying this week, see what value each individual has and see what value you can have. What can you do in your own way to set things in motion for the better? Shabbat Shalom.